The Strangers Chapter 2, The Chase. That's pretty much what I think they should have called this movie, because it is indeed a long chasing, which can work. We've seen it in other horror movies and all of that. But of course, coming from The Strangers Chapter 1, which wasn't as well received, and we see that Chapter 2 isn't either. I'm curious to see how they're going to finish this off, because indeed there is yet one more movie to come. Let's talk about the new film, The Strangers Chapter 2, and its ending, as well as post-credit scene. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. We also did a video on one battle after another. If you want to go check out that video, we did a review, as well as talk about the ending and some of its themes. That is the movie to go see this weekend, my friends. But let's get into what exactly happened in The Strangers Chapter 2. So we pretty much get a flashback of sorts, and this truly is Pinup Girl's film. This is the origins of Pinup Girl. We know now that Pinup Girl is indeed Shelly, the waitress from Carol's Diner, who we saw that the couple, of course, at the beginning of Chapter 1 met, and was the one that told them to eventually go up to that cabin. We find out more about why Shelly became Pinup Girl. We see that she was apparently severely bullied, and she eventually ended up killing a student at her school named Tamara. So that, of course, is the origins of Tamara. It seems that the Strangers new trilogy really wants to explain everything to us, which I think is just a slap in the face to the first Strangers, the original one from Brian Bertino, because that film was scary in itself, that these people were out here terrorizing, stalking, murdering this couple just because. It doesn't have to have a reason or anything or an explanation. That unknown factor made it so terrifying that anybody could fall victim to these strangers. We don't know anything about them, but now we're getting everything explained. So it's kind of interesting right there. So eventually we see that Maya escapes the hospital where she's being stalked by the strangers. She even escapes a campground when they unleash a hog on her. Yes, this becomes a creature feature for a little bit right there. It looks like they really are pushing all of these different elements on us, which, like I've said, would not be bad if it was done in a different manner. But the case here is it's not, so it kind of falls a little bit flat on its face for that. We see up until one point that there is a lot of people that could be, in fact, these characters now, but we still don't know who Scarecrow or Dollface is, and it's up to Maya to try and figure that out. Even though she has some suspicions of certain people, like Gregory, maybe even the sheriff, we still don't know exactly who they could be, but I think that's definitely something they're saving up until the third film. We see that Maya is able to ultimately escape in the end by going into an EMT, and then is ambushed by Pinup Girl, who was actually hiding inside. She ends up stabbing Pinup Girl, and it seems to have killed her, but not just yet. We see that Maya then, during the ride, is choked by Pinup Girl, and she decides to intentionally crash the EMT, which in fact causes Pinup Girl to fly out the window, killing her right there. As Maya flees and hides, and we see Dollface and Scarecrow arrive to the truck as they mourn Pinup Girl, and Maya just watches. So I don't know if they're setting up a whole other chase scene for Chapter 3, but I don't know. We'll see. The eventual post-credit scene showcases that Maya is going out to tell people that she knows where the strangers are, in fact trying to come to an ultimate showdown. But we also see that Maya dons the Pinup Girl face mask for some reason, and she stands there with the strangers at a murder site. So what the hell is happening here with this post-credit scene? So this could definitely be a whole thing where maybe Maya's just going to lose her damn mind and become a stranger herself, and maybe she is the stranger in the Brian Bertino movie that terrorizes the couple. Imagine if it ends like that. Holy shit, 3 movies just to get to that. That would be crazy. But I think that what we definitely are seeing here maybe is more of a bad dream, a sort of hallucination. Maybe she is mortified about everything that has happened, including the death of Pinup Girl, and she just is sort of having a moment where her mind is breaking, and that's why she's thinking of these things, that she's wearing Pinup Girl's face. And I'm curious as well as to who the other strangers could be. There are some theories that Scarecrow could possibly be the boy that we saw that Shelly had a crush on, which was a boy that actually kind of helped her during school. That could be Scarecrow. I think Dollface's identity is going to be the one that's more up in the air as to who that could be. So by the end, we just have Scarecrow and Dollface left. There is still this sort of like belief and theory that maybe the strangers are more people out there and you just don't know exactly what's going on. So we could possibly see that there is other people that could take on the persona of Pinup Girl in the future. Maybe there's a whole cult behind it. You know, it's still up in the air. I'm not entirely sure what Renny Harlin's trying to do with this whole story here with Alan R. Cohen and Alan Freedland. We'll see what happens, but this was pretty much the ending. This was a whole Pinup Girl film for Pinup Girl, her origins, her ultimate death, and sort of her reasoning behind things. It sort of tries to explain the whole "is Tamara home" thing that goes on in the movies as well, which I thought was an interesting choice to want to have, but it still doesn't really go anywhere, and it's just like we don't get much of that, you know. Renny Harlin has talked about the backlash it's gotten. Talking to the Hollywood Reporter in September, he says, "We listened to the audience. There were a lot of hardcore fans that were unhappy with the first movie. One reason being is that you can't remake a classic without people feeling you're doing it all wrong. However, we had to do the first one that way in order to set up the scenario for the continuation of the story. So we knew that it was going to be tough, but we listened and read the commentary." And I'm just like, I don't know what to say. I just don't see that, right? So we'll see what happens with the final act, which is Act 3, if they indeed get her right and give us a pretty conclusive ending. But so far, it has just seemed like pure setup, and I just don't know if the payoff is going to be there for the strangers. Let me know your thoughts and opinions. Are you completely done, or do you just have to see it through now and finish the series because you've just been invested for these last 2 movies? I do hope with this next one that they sort of get it right and different, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let me know. Strangers Chapter 3. Are we excited? Are we not? Is the reveal of Pinup Girl being Shelly at all that like crazy to you? Like, I think that they were hoping you'd be like, oh shit, it was the waitress from the first one, my goodness. But I'm just like, I don't know why that should be shocking. I feel like there wasn't much payoff or setup there, but that's just them. We'll see what they do with the next one. Who is Scarecrow? Who is Dollface? Is it gonna be that much more like insane and mind-blowing, or is it just like, let's just finish this movie, y'all? Let me know down below. Follow for more. Check out our reviews. We already did a review for Black Phone 2, as well as for One Battle After Another. We do have an ending explained for One Battle After Another, or more like a breakdown of sorts. I don't know. The algorithm, y'all. The algorithm. We got to call it what ending explained. But anyways, as always, hit that subscribe and notification bell. 50,000 subscribers is the goal. I'll see you next time. Stay safe. Stay positive.